I'm back. Did you miss me? I hope you're all doing very well. Of course, I am Jess, the MMA Girl, as usual. Welcome back to my channel. And if you guys are new here, thank you for stopping by. We're going to be talking all things combat sports as usual, of course. And this episode is going to be pertaining to RAF's card happening on June 13th with a huge blockbuster headlining fight between Khamzat Chimaev and Dillon Danis. And on the card, we also have as a co-main event, Arman Tsarukyan, who is surprised. No one is surprised. Arman Tsarukyan is on literally every RAF card in every city they're doing. They're going to be doing a card in Georgia. Of course, Merab Dvalishvili is going to be on that card as the main event. But they're also doing the fight between Arman and another fighter from Georgia on that card. So this card on June 13th, there's no surprise. Arman is on this card. But what is a surprise is his opponent. He is going to be taking on Tony Ferguson. And also on this card, we have Aaron Pico taking on Palmer. Palmer, who is in the wrestling world, a huge star. So some big things happening on the RAF scene. And I'm going to be talking about this card. And of course, we're going to be talking about the announcement of Belal Muhammad's second fight at RAF. Fight, match, whatever you like. Second match at RAF, and he'll be taking on none other than Ben Askren. Of course, Ben Askren has come back from the dead, literally. He had a double lung transplant after getting pneumonia and it becoming very, very serious, and he almost died. So this is a lose-lose situation for Belal Muhammad. So we're going to be getting into that, and of course brushing over a little bit, because Belal Muhammad is also in a fight card this weekend at UFC's Apex card, and he'll be facing Bonfim. So there's so much to go over that we're going to have to do it all in one episode. Let's get into it. So put the date in your calendars, guys. June 13th, live on Fox Nation if you have Fox Nation. And if you don't, it's going to be live on the Fox Nation YouTube channel or the RAF YouTube channel. In whatever case, you'll be able to catch that card live under the RAF umbrella, of course. And as I said to you at the start of this video, headlining this card, we have Dillon Danis versus Khamzat Chimaev. Of course, Khamzat coming off his loss to Sean Strickland, where he, of course, lost his middleweight belt. In the meantime, he's going to be fighting with RAF. Of course, I think Khamzat would not have come to RAF if Arman Tsarukyan wasn't already with them. And apparently, according to Arman Tsarukyan, they're paying even more than the UFC are paying. So that's saying something, because those top stars at the UFC are touching some good money still. But of course, the UFC have been heavily criticized for paying their fighters not at all enough. So it's not a surprise to me that RAF are trying to get in there on the ground level to pay their fighters as much as possible in order to keep good quality cards up, because these cards are huge. We have 9 fights, 9 matches on the RAF wrestling card. And of course, as I said to you, the top 3 bouts are the most important on this card. So if you don't want to watch all of the cards, tune in for the top 3 fights. Of course, we have Aaron Pico taking on Lance Palmer. Lance Palmer is someone who in RAF has done wonders. Then we have, of course, Arman Tsarukyan taking on Tony Ferguson. This will be Tony Ferguson's RAF debut. And of course, Arman Tsarukyan is just coming off a win at RAF. This is not an unknown territory for Arman Tsarukyan. So I think Tony Ferguson's coming in because this can make a lot of money for RAF. A Tony Ferguson coming to RAF is huge, but I have no doubt that Arman Tsarukyan will win that fight. Not at all. And Khamzat Chimaev is going to be taking on Dillon Danis. Now, this is the match that I want to talk about the most, because I'm still surprised this fight has been announced and there's no cancellations yet, because these two men are, in their own rights, very unpredictable. I think Khamzat is getting a bit more clean, less unpredictable, a bit more reliable. But Dillon Danis has always been Dillon Danis, and he's so exciting and fun in whatever he does. Dillon Danis has been, of course, under the RAF banner. He took on Colby Covington. Unfortunately, he lost to Colby Covington. So I think this fight will be very important for Dillon Danis to win against Khamzat Chimaev. But it won't be easy. But whenever we see Dillon, as I said, he is making headlines. He, of course, fought most recently in MMA under the Misfits banner. In their first MMA fight, he won super easily in under 30 seconds, if I'm not mistaken. And then, of course, he is going on to entertaining us even more with coming into UFC's events, getting kicked out. He's just Dillon Danis. I mean, if you are a combat sports fan, you will have to hear his name. He is someone who is detrimental to some of the biggest moments in combat sports. If you guys remember correctly, and I'll try and insert a clip, Dillon Danis was the person who single-handedly gestured to Khabib after beating Conor McGregor to come and fight him. And Khabib jumped over the cage and went in there to fight Conor's corner including, of course, Dillon Danis, who was there to provoke. I think that's an iconic moment that we can all thank Dillon Danis for. And now we're going to be seeing Dillon Danis headlining a huge RAF card against Khamzat. Put it in your calendars, guys, June 13th, St. Louis, Missouri. So this is going to be exciting. And another thing I want to talk about whilst on the RAF subject was, of course, the announcement of RAF taking Ben Askren as one of their athletes. He is detrimental to RAF's running. He is, of course, himself, Kurt Angle, Eric Bischoff, Chael Sonnen. These people are detrimental to the running and the promotion of RAF. So it only makes sense that he comes back to combat sports via the RAF banner. It's just very surprising, seeing as the whole situation with his 2 collapsed lungs, etc., lung replacements. These things are very recent to our memories. So seeing him back in full health is amazing. He looks great, but it's obviously quite shocking to see that he's coming back so soon. And he'll be coming back against none other than Belal Muhammad. And I think that this was a perfect person to choose to take on Ben Askren in wrestling, because as I said in the start of this video, this is a lose-lose situation for Belal Muhammad and a win-win situation for Ben Askren. If Ben Askren wins, he will look like one of the most invincible people in the planet. He is already, in my eyes, someone who is invincible, but coming back after a near-death experience, 2 lung replacements, and then going on to win against Belal Muhammad under the RAF banner, that guy is a superstar, as he is already. But if he loses to Belal Muhammad, people will be obviously saying he's done his best, he tried his best, he looked great out there. Whatever happens in this fight, we respect Ben Askren even more for coming back to combat sports. But for Belal to win against Ben Askren, people will hate on him because he won against someone who just almost died. And to lose against Ben Askren would be, of course, a disgrace because Ben Askren just came back from the dead. And I think that, unfortunately for Belal Muhammad, he is the perfect target for that kind of pressure and media coverage that he will be getting from this fight. So I think they chose the best person to welcome Ben Askren back into combat sports, because Belal Muhammad, if there's anyone in combat sports that knows how to be hated on, it is Belal Muhammad. I mean, come on. So let me know what you think of RAF's plans to bring in Ben Askren and Belal Muhammad on a future card. I'll put up the promotional photo if you guys have a look and check that out. Don't miss, of course, on June 13th, Dillon Danis versus Khamzat, Arman Tsarukyan versus Tony Ferguson, and of course Aaron Pico versus Lance Palmer for the RAF 10 event. This weekend we have a huge card happening at the Apex. Belal Muhammad is headlining this card. Gabriel Bonfim is his opponent. This is what's happening. We're getting an Apex card, probably because the next time we see a UFC card happen will be, of course, on June 14th at the White House. So we're getting our last card before the White House card. So I'm not mad at an Apex card. I'm just surprised that these guys are on the Apex card. I'm genuinely surprised. The UFC Vegas 118, of course, happening at the Apex, headlined by Gabriel Bonfim and, of course, former welterweight champion Belal Muhammad, of course, happening Saturday. We have 12 bouts in total, and I'm not going to be doing my breakdown for this card because, of course, on Saturday, I'm going to be doing a pre-fight companion with Jace. If you guys remember Jace, he's been on the channel before. We had a lot of fun doing a video together. We did a podcast episode together. So this time around, we're going to be doing a live fight companion before the card starts. And so don't miss out on that at 7 p.m. GMT +1, of course, French time, on Saturday evening. For me, Saturday evening. For some of you, Saturday afternoon. And we'll be doing that before the start of the fights on the UFC Vegas 118 card. On this card, however, I wanted to highlight some of the fights I'm really looking forward to. We have the return of Jordan Leavitt, the Monkey King, that I love to see in the cage, and he'll be taking on Joanderson Brito, a Brazilian fighter. We also have Edgar Sherez taking on Bruno Silva. And then we have Marcus McGee, who is finally back in the cage after his fight against bantamweight champ Petr Yan. So we've not seen him since that fight. And he gave Petr Yan a run for his money. And I'm surprised the UFC didn't give him a fight sooner than that. So Petr Yan versus Marcus McGee was his last fight. He lost that fight via UD, but he gave him a run for his money. So luckily, Marcus McGee's back. He'll be taking on John Yanis. John Yanis is a short notice because this was not the planned bout. And I'm so happy that they were able to find a replacement opponent for Marcus McGee. The prelim card looks cool, but the main card looks even cooler. We have, starting off the main card, we have Iwo Baranowski taking on Junior Taffa. This fight is one I'm looking forward to because Iwo Baranowski has promised us a second or third round finish instead of a first round finish. Of course, we saw him in March at UFC London where he got a first round finish, and he said that he would like to get into those deep waters in the second and third round, but he seems to not be able to get past that first round. So hopefully this time, Junior Taffa will be able to allow Iwo to get past the first round. I'm predicting Junior Taffa's getting knocked out here. I don't want him to, but Iwo Baranuski is too good. But hopefully this will get into the second or third and we'll get a longer fight from Iwo than we do usually. We also have in this card Bryce Mitchell taking on Santiago Luna. Very happy and excited to see Bryce Mitchell because it's been a while. And I always love when Bryce Mitchell is on a fight card. Then we have Fares Ziam, the Frenchman, and he'll be taking on Tom Nolan from Australia. This is going to be an interesting lightweight bout, and I'm excited to see Fares Ziam back in the cage. And of course, Tom Nolan, both guys, of course, from different countries where they're hugely supported. I know, of course, Fares Ziam is hugely supported in France. So the whole of France are behind him for this fight, and the whole of Australia behind Tom Nolan for this fight. So this is going to be very exciting and some high stakes. Then, of course, we have Brendan Allen in the co-main event, and he'll be taking on Edmund Shabazian, which, of course, was not the opponent people expected for Brendan Allen, seeing as his last fight was a win over RDR, give him a top 10 opponent. Edmund Shabazian is number 22 ranked in the middleweight division. So he is nowhere near Brendan Allen, who is number 5th ranked. I was hoping for a fight between DDP and Brendan Allen. There were rumors. They called each other out, but it never happened in the end. So we're getting Brendan Allen versus Edmund Shabazian. So this fight is a really important fight for Brendan Allen. He needs to win this one in order to keep his space in the middleweight division. And of course, our main event with Belal and Gabriel. Of course, this fight is going to be interesting. Gabriel, of course, looking to bump up to the top 10 of the welterweight division. Again, as for Brendan Allen, Belal cannot lose this fight. Just a reminder, of course, Brendan Allen and Belal Muhammad are training partners, so this must be very cool for them to be on the same card together. So very exciting things happening in the combat sports world in the next few days and weeks. Stay tuned, of course, as I said to you, for Saturday. My live is going to be up at 7 p.m. GMT +1. Then, of course, we have UFC Vegas 118. And then next weekend, we have no UFC, but we have, of course, on June 13th, the RAF 10 card that I just spoke to you guys about that is unmissable beyond belief. So do not miss out on those things. Of course, stay tuned on my channel. I am back from my events. I'm going back to an event next week. So I'm sorry for my lack of videos, but I'm doing my best to juggle between going to events, interviewing fighters in French, and of course doing my YouTube channel. If you want to stay tuned with what I'm doing on a day-to-day basis, please follow me on IG. And until then, we'll see each other in the next one. See you later. Bye.